Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digitalk brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
Hello beautiful people, you're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday right from 6 to 7.
Naku zino twajirwa flat tummy. Tukyayambalako ku ngoye obutukwata.
Wajana ku body shaming. Speak up. Gendo ba confronting. Obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Towerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Digitalk. Mukwano gwange gwali topic kiri wandyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Ngati ze tata wange amanyira nkola n'obuvunanyizibwa nyina bungi. Era agezaako n'anyamba yambako yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit, call me. Simanyanga I miss you bichi. Especially embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season yaba takwagala ze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting nga topic yona gyandyagadde twogereko tujjako tujogera kwano ku the Alternative Digitalk ku share enganzi the Snap Talk.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
A very good evening, Ugandans and the rest of the world from wherever you're watching us from. My name is Abdulatif, and this time, at this particular moment, it's yet another edition of the Hotline Show. Every Monday we are here looking at national issues, discussing matters of national importance, trying to see that we can also make a contribution to making this country, Uganda, better for all of us. Well, for so many years, we've seen a number of coalitions, political coalitions taking place. We've seen a number of movements coming up. We've seen a number of activism groups, mushrooming up. But the biggest question is, what happens at the end of this all? If I take you back in 1980, when Mr. Museveni was coming after terribly losing the 1980 elections, he protested the results, even though he was not among the front runners. But before he even went to the bush, they had to form an alliance or whatever, alliance coalition with Yusuf Lule to form RA. Mr. Museveni had the Popular Resistance Army. But the question is, was that an alliance of convenience or an alliance of ideology? Still, up to now, we've seen a number of these things happening. We've had a number of coalitions coming up. We've seen a number of activism groups, coming up, trying to put up different activities, this and that, to ensure that Uganda experiences the change it deserves. For so many years, Ugandans are really yearning for change. Ugandans need to see that there is political governance, leadership, and all those questions answered. This does not necessarily go to maybe one single political party, but even within one single party, having any other leader taking over, that's one way of experiencing and witnessing change. I think if you look at the biggest, the ruling party in this country, the question of change is still just heard of in those parties. They have also seen one party leader ever since NRM came into play. And so Ugandans when it comes to national politics. Well, in the studios, I am privileged. I have been joined by Mr. Samuel Lubega Mukaaku. He is a member of the PFT, one of the big wigs in the PFT. And of course, he is a former presidential candidate. And he has also made attempts to represent his constituents in the parliament, but maybe his time hasn't come yet. I also have Gideon Tugume. He's one man of controversy, One time he's NUP, one time he's like we are NUP Kabawa. Again, he's the Secretary General for Forum for Integrity and Leadership. And maybe this is these are some of the confusions that have really made Ugandans to shun and run away from, the politicians we have at the moment, because we lack, or you lack, that consistency as politicians. Well, I want to give you an opportunity to say hi to our viewers. I want to start with Mr. Mukaaku.
I salute everyone viewing us now, and thank you for the time spent to really engage with us. And I also thank digital media and you, the anchor of this program, and those behind the scenes, to have given us this opportunity. And I want to welcome my comrade in the struggle for a long time, for sparing time first and foremost, but also to offer himself now to come and engage in this very, very important debate that you're putting forward.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lubega Mukaaku. Yes, Bwana Gideon Tugume.
Yes, thank you very much, our host. I so much appreciate the time normally this digital TV gives me to express my views. I first of all take this opportunity to thank God for sitting in this studio with the President of the people. Sam Lubega Mukaaku is not a man you can just joke with. Much as he stood and Ugandans never saw him, he has been a man of several occasions behind these big political changes and political shake-ups in this country. He's the man who began the struggle behind the NUP, the people power, actually not NUP as a party, but people power. He's a man who was behind, remember the same Ogerere, when he was so big in this country, I was with him. He was behind there, a young man, very strong. He could come from America speaking, English and American, strong English. And so I am so happy to be with him today. My name is Gideon Tugume. I happen to be the chairman of vulnerable people in this country. I also happen to be Secretary General of a party, as well as spokesperson of a party. And as well, I'm a human rights activist. I'm a lawyer, you know that, and I do participate in political activism in wherever it is, at any level or it is. I'm always around, and I always appreciate the management of Digital TV here to allow us and to give us time to talk. I also want to thank the camera person, a beautiful lady who is behind the camera. She's always there, trying to make us look beautiful and handsome. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you so much, Bwana Gideon Tugume. I think to start with, you need to clear this.
Yes.
The last time you were here, you were telling us you are the spokesperson
of NUPS.
And right now, of course, we are spokesperson NUP stroke. President or chairman?
No, not chairman.
Yes,
I'm the chairman of the vulnerable persons in this country.
Yes, spokesperson NUP, and right now we are learning that you're the Secretary General for Forum.
Not learning. I happen also to be a coordinator actually for all registered political parties in this country. If you don't know, my office is a coordinating office.
No, that is okay, but let's talk about the FIL, because the FIL is a political party, NUP is a political party.
What we have is a coalition. What we have is a coalition, formation of cooperation and coalitions. As you can see, DP Mao with the NRM is a coalition. When FIL, Forum for Integrity and Leadership, made a coalition, made that kind of cooperation with NUP in its initial registration. we were the one, and we are still the one. Only that when it was stolen from us, of course, the other one had to be remained apart. Because you remember that NUP, when it got together with the people power of the President Mukaaku, we all welcomed that idea, and all the parties came together to form under one party, under NUP. And later on, when these people misbehaved and it went away, all parties had to go a different way. But again, on 25th of May of this year, we had to sit, and so elections took place. And when it took place, of course, I was elected in that capacity as a spokesperson. Of NUP. And what happened is that the Electoral Commission, actually, up to now has refused to gazette our submissions.
Gideon,
yes, and
you're confusing my viewers. You cannot belong to two parties.
No.
So no, just a second.
Yes.
So when you're trying to form that coalition,
yes,
between NUP and Forum for Integrity and Leadership,
yes,
you represented both parties.
Where?
It is
representing where? I'm saying that in the initial setting, I'm the founder of NUP. In the initial starting of the NUP, I'm the founder of NUP. We formed several parties, including NUP, including Forum for Integrity and Leadership, including the one for women and youth party with Stella Nambuya, including the one of, there are about like 16 political parties.
And that was one single person involved in all
No, who were involving, of course, me being a lawyer, I was helping them in saying.
But where do you fall?
Now,
that's now your legal duty. But
I have
as
the
a person,
duty,
where do you fall?
I have the duty and the mantle and the decision to belong anywhere I feel I want.
So right now, where do you
that's
belong?
the constitution.
Yes.
Right now, I'm saying that Forum for Integrity and Leadership and NUP had a cooperation.
Which is okay.
Yes, and in the cooperation, I'm the spokesperson. Without a cooperation, I'm the Secretary General of Forum for Integrity and Leadership. So we are in a cooperation, which has no illegality at all. It has nothing to do with anything, actually. Yes, so me, in the corporation, I'm the spokesperson of NUP. As per
so
what
NUP is a corporation, or it is?
No, it is in a corporation. You know, NUP is not a political party. It is a political organization. Chisinde Chabiabufuzi. So we set it up knowing that every person will come and be inside NUP. That's why when people power came, we had to be with people power. But when the agreement ended, they had to go. But for us who were still in the corporation, we stayed and we are moving together.
Well,
so in that there is no illegality.
There is no contradiction.
No, there is no contradiction at all. Where there is a corporation, I'm still working with it. Where it is not, I still remain a Secretary General of Forum for Integrity and Leadership.
So NUP is registered as a corporation?
It is a political party, but you can go under the Political Parties and Organizations Act. You can cooperate. You can work together as a team. You can even make a coalition. You can, they are very clear under political parties.
Well, thank you so much, yes. Bwana Gideon. I want to start off, well, let's go straight away to our topic of discussion. I want to start with Mr. Mukaaku. Mr. Mukaaku is one gentleman whom I know very much exposed and very passionate about this country, so much committed to see that really Uganda moves to another step as far as leadership and governance is concerned. But the biggest question is that for 36 years now, the efforts to witness change has become a problem. We've seen a number of political parties come, a number of pressure groups come. We've seen a number of pressure groups, coalitions, and all these seem not to be taking those who would wish to see the change in this country. What is the problem?
Thank you very much, comrade. Everyone may seem to know where the country needs to go. And everyone may seem to be participating
in the process of taking
the country there. But in real terms, it may not be the case. So we have to reflect, internalize, and discern Number one, what the problem really is, and whether we all understand the problem in order for us to really say we are providing a solution or we are providing solutions. And solutions will come in terms of the philosophy and ideology that you all engage with. Will also come in the terms of strategic planning, tactical planning, and also the operational activities that you've got to engage in. And therefore, deployment of your resources. First of all, the human resource, appropriate deployment of those resources.
Okay.
And what I'm saying might seem to be the usual music to every ears, but it is not always very common to all of us. It also involves assessing, even to yourself, by yourself, what which role
where your capabilities
are. Where your capabilities, abilities, and capacity to execute the mission.
Given assignment.
And that also takes us to, therefore there will come loads of questions about the command and control of that entire process in order to be delivered effectively and within time. And also understanding that time is also another resource that we need to manage. But in a situation where the oppressed have not taken that reflection at all levels, because we have different levels of the oppressed, have not taken that proper reflection, where they just find themselves probably like participating, like doing something, but without reflection. In a situation where the oppressor is in advanced stages of understanding how to cripple a population,
that is needed.
Where the oppressed cannot understand how crippled they are. For them to be able to discern how much time will they need.
Is that for the oppressor to know? Or
No, the oppressed. The oppressed.
Okay, yes.
The oppressed. How much time will they need? And that's the very, even you find members of the fourth estate. But you people, you have tried this, but you have not succeeded. And you ask them which benchmarks. Which benchmarks are you using? How much time do you think this job is going to take? How much effort? How much resources? And it's all about, because the country is all of us. The country is not just one individual, one group of individuals, one institution. One community. No, there are many that must play a role. So until when we reflect, sit down and reflect and plan at a strategic level, at a tactical level, and at the operational level, we shall not achieve what we wanted. Number one, we must understand that this country, first of all, what is the problem? The problem, and who is the enemy that you want to attack, and what is the terrain. I don't know whether I'm being clear.
Yeah.
What is the problem? Who is the enemy? Enemy of the people. What is the terrain? And the means that we have. Even in simple tasks, like if you are going to engage the enemy in a given environment, in a given setup. Is the setup electoral? Is the setup electoral? Is it military violence? Is it non-violent? Non-violent ways? You've got to sit down and assess. And then know which regiments to flank the enemy at what point. Now, if you cannot even, like today, if you can't perceive that today we have one of the most terrible and well-entrenched old dictatorship that does not only pervade the higher echelons of society, but also the lowest ones, that it is using all tactics of political impoverishment, to make people poor, deliberately. People see this poverty today. You hear many commentators. When I was doing my master's research, many commentators from outside and from here think that this poverty is the usual poverty, that it is because maybe some resources are not. No.
It's programmed.
It's programmed by the political elites that have chosen to do so. And it touches different sectors. That even if you wanted to use the resources that you have, you cannot come out of it. Now, if you don't understand that there is that dictatorship, there is misrule in the country, that you have an overwhelming environment of where our socio-economic command heights have completely been decimated, and the people have been completely denied to engage with the wealth and economic socio-economic resources that they have. If you cannot understand that today we have the total capture, you see, every other 5 years, every other 4 years, every other year, every other month in, month out, the systematic capture of our state, the state of Uganda, of our institutions, its institutions, including the institution of government. You see, and this is why some people talk about government as though even the institution of government, I can tell you today, even the presidency has been captured.
He captured himself?
The presidency.
The presidents. The president has captured the president.
And now at some stage, he feels he's part of those who are captured. But at some stage, he indicates to you that he has also been captured.
Mr. Mukaaku.
And this is obvious. So we need to appreciate that when the state, its institutions, its bureaucratic structures, and the noises of the fourth estate, noises of the would-be democratic institutions like political parties, noises of the civil service, noises of trade union, would-be trade unions and trade groups. They are all captured totally and also. So under such a situation, then if you are presented with a say, you want now to go and really plan a final assault to the regime through an election, and you think that the political parties are going to help you, that you are just electing members who are going to go to parliament or to the councils and dictate policy and dominate legislative agenda without you knowing how all that has been captured, you are lying to yourself.
Mr. Mukaaku, before I bring in Gideon, you've talked about something important here. You've talked about resources. And the resources, you did that breakdown. That there is resources like the personnel, human resource. There is also the time as a resource. But when you do a breakdown...
And then the money...
And of course, the diagnosis of the entire problem.
Yes.
I would ask a question. Have you been able to manage the resource time properly? as those who seek to see that there is change?
If you ask you as an individual, I would say to an extent. You as a group of people,
I'm asking a group.
To an extent, but lesser extent. Yeah? But then as the Ugandan people, no.
That resource has been
This is not change. You see what we are talking about, the change of government. Government is the biggest project in the world of any. And if you are going to change this one, it's not going to be you as one individual. That's why I said, first understand and appreciate what the problem is. Define properly who your enemy is. Because sometimes we can all understand the problem. We have dictatorship, misrule here, and we know where the problem is. But again, we can fail to define who our enemy is.
Thank you so much.
And that sometimes depicts itself in these ways. For example, you find somebody who says, you remember last elections, which he has been explaining? As we were moving forward, some people came and said, Mr. Lubega, you need to unlearn certain things. You must learn to unlearn certain things. And you were telling me with what experience? And we were telling them, please, we can do things differently. You remember when we went to Shadondo up to Arua? Arua was like a war zone, but we won the elections. How did we? People failed even to assess that one. You who was there, you know exactly what we did. When we were going to Hoima, people said, no, we can do things differently. We told them, okay.
Let's do things differently.
If you are saying we must unlearn certain things, now let you try. For us, we shall give the moral, material support, and if where you need personnel, we shall provide. We provided the Gerard Kobwemis, the Dr. Baigas. They went. And what happened? Some people thought winning an election is just going at a rally with all the noise, with all this, and you win an election. It goes much more. It goes much more to that. And in this particular election, you could see people going in 2026. That is 2021, January. People telling you, Fetuchimazi, we denied all those people. We have given. Who have you given? Number one, if you go around the city, you know the people we gave. Are those going to command the war? Did you understand? Did you understand the imperatives of what we need to really go that full length? So we went a certain distance, but because we didn't define who our enemy is, we ended up falling prey to the machinations of the regime.
Thank you so much, Mr. Lubega Mukaaku. Let's first keep it at that. I want to cross to Mr. Tugume, Gideon.
Yes.
I want to pose the same question. You've been in this game for quite a while, for some good time, as human rights defender. At one time, you were a journalist, you're doing the kind of work I am doing here, and you also became a serious, political activist from different political groupings. But if I am to ask, from what Mr. Mukaaku has shared with us, that's his version according to his lenses. Maybe you could be looking at things in a different, perspective, or perhaps different. So I want to get your view. What are your lenses telling you? What do you see the situation, and where is the problem?
The problem is lack of preparation and seriousness in our country. We just bang into the leadership and become leaders by chance or by proxy. There is no preparation of leaders in this country. A person who is becoming a leader just fights his way, becomes a leader without even knowing what to do in leadership. When you look at the member of parliament who are currently in the parliament, almost 90% had never even acquired a position of a councillor or anything to learn how government runs. And they are the ones now setting up the policies for the government. This is very dangerous for a country. When you go back...
But one can still be a councillor when he doesn't know what to do.
You see, let me tell you, if you begin somewhere, if you were trained somewhere, you would automatically know what to do politically. He has been telling you, that when we were planning for Bujiri, there was a plan for Bujiri. Through experience. When they are planning for Arua, there was a plan for Arua through experience, political experience. When they were going to Hoima, somebody says, no, we can do it without you, Mr. Lubega. And what happened? Those are the things we are saying. When the Tanzanians were getting the independence, for them, they trained their people under Majimaji. They went as a force which were trained to capture power, maintain it, and be as Tanzanians. When the Kenyans were trying to push away the whites, they went as Mau Mau under one umbrella, well-trained youth. When South Africans were chasing away the whites, they did in Katawa. There is some word that they were using. When in Uganda we were chasing away the whites after 70 years, it is only the Kabaka of Uganda who wrote, please come. And when they came, instead of uniting the whole country, he says, I want you to help me to fight Bunyoro. As Bunyoro was fighting the whites and Buganda, Toro was fighting also to separate itself from Bunyoro. As they were fighting in that way, then Acholi was saying, you cannot come into our area. As they were saying that under that chief of Acholi and that area, then the eastern Uganda, a person was appointed through Kakunguru to go and manage the eastern Uganda under the leadership of Buganda and the colonialists. At the end of the day, Ankole was chickening out and said, no, you come. The Sekabaka ended up going to Ankole and was given a whole Saza, a whole county, together with two wives and cows and the Banyankole and everybody, not to attack them. So there was no unity in Uganda to push away and fight the colonialists who had come into the country.
And so the same was resurfaced.
Yes, so at the end of the day, there is no unity as one to cause change in this country. Whoever comes as an individual. Whoever comes out, when Lubega comes out, is being looked at not as Lubega, somewhere whom we know as a person with a political brain, but we start looking at him as a Muganda. So there are still that kind of fighting. There is nothing that unites us together to cause a change. A person who comes and goes through and becomes a leader is by chance or by proxy, as I've said. There is no serious leadership training that has ever taken place in Uganda.
Whose responsibility should that be?
No, that responsibility is for us, the political party leaders. It is for the government. But the government doesn't want this to happen. They want to utilize the other chance. When he got this chance of going through, you remember when President Museveni was coming into power, they made a coalition. This coalition was bringing different units, different fighting groups, which they came together to make a unity for him in order to become a president. You remember the Rurez, you remember the Dr. Kayira.
Isn't that now a contradiction
to
your earlier submission?
No, I'm trying to tell you that without unity for Uganda, to know that we need our country as one, there is no feasible change that will take place in this country.
How did Museveni make it to unite those forces?
What he did, no, he did actually not unite them. He killed those who had actually come to work with him. Later on, it was like a directorial government in France.
But
you remember the directorial government?
Yusuf died of.
No, you cannot know. What is the death report? Anyway, we are not going to that. We've not come to discuss the death reports of the people because I might ask you for Kayira, which we will not produce here. And other people who had joined him actually. Even including those who went with him in the bush. Those who never died, they are no longer with him. So it's like a directorial government in France. If you studied the European history, where they formed the government 5 people, and one ended up, the first one, they were to rule for only 5 years and give power to another person. But the person who got the power first killed the rest.
Even the one of Jakana is not yet.
So in this regard, Uganda is being ruled, on divide and rule. That I must give Busoga Chabazinga, who could not even having the power to do something, but in order to separate him from Buganda, who will know that I'm also king in Busoga. That I also have a Munyara, who is also heading Bunyara, but is even not known, can even not do anything. But there is somebody whom they say is a king of Bunyara. But this is in Buganda. So the separation, this kind of separations, putting up traditional leadership, putting up what? Is making sure that there is no unity. So what we have to do as politicians, if at all we are to cause change in this country, is to unite Uganda. How do we unite Uganda? We have now only 3 years remaining to elections. We haven't completely convened a single conference of opposition political parties to check ourselves out why we should not move out. And when are we doing it? Should we say that the government has stopped us from doing that? At times, even the leadership we are trying to monitor or to nurture is also of that nature of separationism. They want to work alone. That's why they don't want a person who will give them the idea like Samuel Lubega, who understands the political arena, but for them they want to move on, they think they can win. At this particular time now, if you want to know how politics works, you have to develop the youth. The youth and the women and other groups. You have the structure, grassroots structure. Which political party has grassroots structures? How do you gauge yourself as winning an election when you don't have even people to keep a watch of your box at the village?
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
You see, it seems you've well mastered the problem, a clear diagnosis of the problem.
Yes.
Now, the party you represent,
yes,
where you hail as the Secretary General,
yes,
Forum for Integrity and Leadership,
yes,
have you been able to do such?
That is what I'm trying to tell you.
You have the structures that will drive you.
That is what I'm trying to tell you. That I was coming into that until the point of resources. Because you need resources to move down to the people, to mobilize the people. You need to reach out to the people. We might even find that the party we have is even not known in Kalamoja, might not be known in Arua, simply because you even don't have resources to manage yourself as well as managing the party. The setup in Uganda is that they have to make sure that you stay where you are, because they know when you move, you must cause change, and they don't want it. And what do we want to do? We must come together. When I come with Mukaaku, Mr. Mukaaku here, and say we're going to form something, we'll find the police, the army, in courts the police, which will hit us. Some of us will die, the rest will be arrested, the rest will be jailed, because they don't want us to mobilize the people. So you cannot take ideology of your party to the people, because the regime doesn't want that. They want that divisionism to continue. So we have incapacitated ourselves as parties. We cannot think beyond ourselves, and the country is going into ruins. And another problem which we have, which cannot cause change, is that as Ugandans, as Gideon Tugume, if I'm to become a leader, I become a leader when I'm already angry and even worn out. For example, I've been in the opposition for the last almost 36 years. I began when I was a young man. I've been with Mukaaku here, the former presidential candidate, for 25 years when we are moving together. He has been bringing good ideas, but cannot be allowed to exercise those ideas until he either joins with a force that will remove the regime by force. And when you come with anger, you cannot do anything. What you normally do is to ensure that you pay those who made you angry, those who were beating you, those who were causing you suffering. Secondly, ourselves, by the time we come into power, we are already sick. A person who has been hit with tear gas several times, who has been jailed, you develop diabetes, you have pressure, you have stress. Now you are the leader, you are a minister. Ulcers. Can you do anything? You have ulcers. They have always to keep running you every week to India, to Japan, for treatment. So we have worn out. We are not developing clean politicians. That the politicians whom we will build, so that knowing that in the future this Ablatif can take up this position. That is not there. We are pushing ourselves through a corner by fighting like a puss, whereby when you grab someone and put him down, you also bite that person, take over power, kill the other one, also rule for 5 years, and that does not take our country anywhere.
Thank you so much, the Secretary General, Forum for Integrity and Leadership. Well, I think I can agree that, and you can also agree with me, that these political actors, it's like they know what the problem is. They have done a clear diagnosis of the problem. But again, the question is, it's like, because when you listen to what Gideon says and what Lubega says, it's like they all agree that there is a problem. you know, they all acknowledged that. But now the biggest question goes to Mr. Mukaaku. My question, the problem seems to be known now. You've highlighted earlier on the elements of preparation, you know, maybe sometimes you do not do adequate planning. And for 36 years, I am very sure you've been into this now. You know that you need to do plan A, you need to do B, you need to do this, you need to do that. What efforts have you put in place to ensure that you address, you know, those hurdles, the barriers that could be restricting you and limiting you from achieving your objectives?
First of all, I started as a katumwa. I started as somebody...
A messenger.
A messenger.
Yeah.
When Museveni came here, I was young. I was in senior 5. And soon after I finished my A-levels, then I went for higher education, my university. Trying to start to work.
If you were in senior 5, we were very lucky. I was still in primary 3.
Yes.
Primary 3.
But we started youth activism.
By then?
Yes, looking forward because, and you know, you can't blame the entire Ugandan population because of the kind of lies everyone received. And when I say everyone, those that those people claim to have liberated, worked with, and who they had done a job for the people of Uganda, and the people of Uganda believed. They believed in Luwero, they believed in Kasese, they believed in the whole Uganda. That actually we needed a fundamental change. So, and the people, Ugandans were good because they give you a chance. They give everyone a chance. They gave President Museveni and his team a chance and the environment to try and deliver what they had promised. So Ugandans, the ordinary people were lied to. Okay? But not only the ordinary people, those who are the civil servants then and everyone who were lied to. And those who fought, including the Kadogos, they were lied to. If you want, you can ask people like Tinyefunza, people like Dr. Kiza Besigye, the late Serwanga Rwangas, who now, even in the CA, I remember Dr. Besigye, Tinyefunza, Tumukunde, and Serwanga Rwanga were now on the other side with the same Ogereres and the like, who at the beginning seemed to be in the minority. And these people said, no, if we fought for this, and that, here in the CA, we should try to address the problem. But the captors were very skillful. Through legal notes, number one, they fuse NRA, NRM with the state institutions. And power now belonged to those who had the gun. And shortly after, even those who had the gun, who were leading those with the gun, realized power belonged to one individual. In the CR alone, he himself was represented by 38 people. 38! He had not consulted anybody. And how did he choose these soldiers, also the 10 soldiers that went to the CA, single-handedly?
To represent
just to tell them this one is going to, because in the army, and whenever they wanted to put up their hand, you know this is the army. So soon they realized, and I think that is a story we all now know. But even in the palace today, there are those in the palace who feel like they don't have enough power, and that's why we see the jostling. So what I'm saying in this aspect is that, yes, there was that time where a number of Ugandans didn't know exactly, they just wanted to give, what do we say? They wanted to give the NRA, the so-called liberators, a benefit of doubt. Now, thereafter, we joined youth activism. We could see some of these things, and we were explaining to the people. But because of what they had gone through, I thought that was not something we needed to return to. It has only become clearer every day, that what we fought against, what they fought against, including the evils of corruption, dictatorship, misrule, and all this, were back, not just in the same scale, but mega, super scale. Now, what we have today, we have done what we could. I started as a Nkoba Zambogo. I thought now Nkoba Zambogo is not enough after being the chairman of Nkoba Zambogo, joining the youth in the universities and those in Owino and Shauriako and elsewhere. I soon realized that we needed to do something, some Nkoba Zambogo of Uganda. And that's how I started the Uganda Young Democrats, together with my colleagues, the Michael Mabikes and the like. Soon after, Museveni came with all his force. We were poor students, young people who are not even employed. He came with all his force. He arrested, he imprisoned. We suffered all that, and he bought some of our colleagues, including my colleague, the president then, Luzige. And he started terrorizing us, taking some of us to safe houses. So what the occupational hazards of the regime, a regime that was bent to ensure that the capture is deepened, not democracy being deepened, it went on catching up with everyone, including those who were in government, in a so-called broad-based government then, the Semogeredes. I want to tell you that at some stage I was at the DP headquarters, I could not see my leaders. Time came when those leaders came running, saying, you know, the monster, the hydra-headed monster wants to suck our blood. That's how we clapped and we said, now we have a candidate. Semogere became our candidate circumstantially. 1996. He had been the campaign all those years, but he was part of the system, thinking that he was giving a chance, a benefit of doubt for those who had deliberated to do something. Soon realized that his fate was going to be like that of Kaira, which my friend has been talking about. So he jumped gun. And many others, including now the messages and the like. What we have done, what we did that time, we said, yes, we have our DP, we have our UPC, but we need everyone on board. Remember, if you can reflect, during that time, we used to approach people because even political parties were not allowed. When you go to him, I used to call him as a young man, Owendo Woza. Owendo Woza, meaning that we are the people who must reclaim power back to us from those who captured it. And IPFC was all about that. It was only one man, I think, by that time. It was the Jema Kibirige Mayanja, who said, no, for us, let's start a political party. In the thinking that the regime had come to embrace the institutions, the democratic institutions and the institutions of change. Unfortunately, they soon realized the same. But the thing is, building a critical mass that perceives, properly define the problem and properly define the enemy, and will not fail to define
the means of getting
or to concur on strategic, tactical, and operational approaches, okay? And making sure that this one does not fall prey to wanting to fit into the regime's agenda because you want quick fixes. You see, these have been some of the hazards with us, the opposition, or the dissenting voices, from those who don't want succession and those who want transition. Because this is the trajectory. So you now start to see, like he has explained well, especially in those last bits, where, like in the last elections, we built the people power. You know how we built it. I used the Democratic Party. Where I had resistance, you know, Mao was against all these things. How we managed to cajole him, to convince him, to try and tell him, look, you can be a kingmaker. You remember, even at Makerere in these reunions. And how we managed to use the little resources from the Democratic Party and from the people, who were not even Democratic Party. And we all built it. And how we went to try this in the by-elections of Chadondo, of Jinja, of Bujiri. The momentum was building, of Arua. And now to the time they saw that even a young man, probably not with great education, but could lead, and how in the middle it was hijacked, and our people fell prey of party politics. If you are not NUP, you are not with us. Oh my God. How about that man of JEMA? How about that man of UPC? How about that man of ANT, whom we have been fighting together? Mwiru, for example, whom we fought together up to Arua. He was arrested, taken to the barracks, like whatever. He's the one who made sure that Kyagulanyi survives. Mabike, Mwiru, Karuhanga. These were not members of NUP. So we felt
actually there was no NUP.
If you are not NUP, you are not with us. And I saw the whole diaspora singing that on that same plate, not even understanding that we have one of us. I am one of them. I am one of them. I was in the diaspora, mobilizing, knowing how the diaspora is important. Mobilizing with limited resources on my salary. Mobilizing, not even thinking that I was going to stand for presidency. At the time, since 2007, 2006, 2003 in Nairobi, but they could not discern this and say, let's try to talk to these people, see which direction we needed to take. They supported that, and that alone, now it meant for us we want so many MPs of NUP, but you don't want MPs of FDC, you don't want MPs of DP. You don't want, because, and are you sure you as one party, you are going to traverse the whole country and make sure you deliver the goods in Karamoja, in West Nile, in Rukunjiri, and everywhere? The discussion we had generated was that, look, let's partition the country. Let's partition the roles. Let's see who will play what role. There was a time when we said all the former presidential candidates are now going to become kingmakers to the one man that will only have that chifundikwa. In Uganda we call it chifundikwa. A symbolic leader of the revolution. But here, everyone wanted power. Even with the experience of Amama Mbabas and Kiza Besigye and all that we went through, we could not learn from it. So it is important we do not fall prey of the simple ideology of quick fixes. For us, we want change, and you think change is going to be
Mr. Mukaaku,
like
I am making one observation here. When you read about Mr. Museveni and how he came, there was some bit of hypocrisy. And
not some bit.
There was hypocrisy. Thank you. Now 110%. Yes. Now we are seeing the DP reunion that was also built on some sort of hypocrisy. We are using DP resources to bring in something else into play.
No, we are
now, just a second.
Okay.
And then we also have NUP doing the same, a replica of. So that is how we have mastered our politics as a country.
No. I will not agree with that. You know, initially DP was known to develop people. It was known as a party that actually trains good leaders.
Everybody create that environment.
It used to do that. And when you look at the formation of those who went into parliament and those who came into NUP and caused the big change, actually most of them were DP. When you look into that, they were DP who came and joined. But did they join NUP anyway? Or they came because they wanted to have that umbrella he was talking about.
And just as a reminder,
yes,
don't you forget, was DP hypocritical to join the NRM broad-based government? Broad-based agenda? Was it hypocritical? It was not even in charge, but it thought a contribution, togetherness as a unit, that could happen. That they were reading from the same page with Benedict Chiwanuka. Were we hypocritical to tell no but Mao, this time round, the people may want a different type of leader, okay? But you are not completely out of it. Can our leadership become a kingmaker?
And
we were DPs. Why did we want to become kingmakers, not the kings themselves, if we're not statesmen? You see, we need to act statesmanly. As you was saying, there is a problem. We know how to, once the problem is gone, all of us will become kings. All of us will get what we want. All of us will be for each other. There will be mutual respect. There will be mutual trust. We shall build our country. But now, the problem comes when you become greedy and selfish in the process. Or when you become myopic and don't want to see the wider picture, you become parochial and you think that is how you can deliver a revolution. And there you will be wrong, because the enemy is going to be smart, as he said, who uses these three levers. 1, divide and rule. 2, impoverishing the subjects such that he can rule them forever. They become beggars in their country, destitutes their country. 3, patronization. He dangles the carrot and he says, if you want the carrot, behave. If you don't behave, I will crush you if you do this. And if you behave, I'll give you kitty dog. That's how you have been seeing the musician going trekking to
we need to.
But let me just this. You see, even in the people power revolution that we had started, we said, okay. Do you remember when we told people that we have developed a model, a one-to-one model?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember when we drew the maps, partitioning, and said FDC is strong here, DP is strong here, the other people power who are not these are strong here, ANT is strong here in Arua because Cassianos are strong. You remember?
Mm-hmm.
And people said, no, you can't talk about that. But it was the reality. Now, in this case, we also said we shall be focusing on 4 levers, but mainly 3. Number 1, we need to engage with the people so that the people perceive and understand what we who are leading the revolution do perceive, then we agree on the way forward. And that's how we talked about the people. And we used to refer to the people in every reunion. You remember? And some people now came up and said they were the ones who brought the idea of people power. And 2, we also looked at the security services. But before you look at the security services, we knew the power of our diaspora people and the international community. People are not going to come and help you out of your problem when you don't take the primary roles of what you are supposed to do. You are not going to convince the security services that you are organized enough so that they are going to be on your side, and the civil service. But all this, where it ended, I heard you talking about the Mary, the ship, and then Mombasa. These days, Mukaaku can go to a certain war zone and stand on a tongue and pretend as this is not what is going to help.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mukaaku.
Is being real,
we really need
plan,
to go
and engage the public.
We really need to go for a very short break. But what I am realizing is that our politics is full of scams.
And you know,
right from, like Mr. Mukaaku gave us a background of the people the core people who worked with Mr. Museveni, they realized everything they fought for was a scam. Mr. Mukaaku, they also engaged, they built the people power, and then along the way they were sidelined. That's scam. Well, we need to go for a very short break, and when we return, the Hotline Show will continue.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Hello, beautiful people. You're welcome to the Snap Talk with your girl Teddy Tenjo every Saturday, right from 6 to 7.
Nakuzino twajirwa flat tami. Tukyayambala ko kugoyo obutukwata.
Wajana ku body shaming. Speak up. Gendo ba confronting obagambe ekyo kyemukola si kirungi.
Tewerabira nti tuli wano ku the Alternative Digitalk. Mukwano gwange gwali topic kiri wandiyagadde twogereko. Is it about family?
Ngati tata wange amanyira nkola n'obuvunanyizibwa nyina bungi. Era agezaako n'anyamba yambako yanda.
Naye kumukubira kumubuuzaako. Noga mama we bali kunzaala.
Is it outside family? Is it society? Oh, could it be relationships?
Come and visit, call me. Simanyanga I miss you, bichi. especially ng'embeera y'obudde si nnungi.
Naye n'omuntu akwagalira mu season aba takwagala ze nkubuulira.
Just be commenting nga topic yona gyanjagadde twogereko tujjako tujogera kwano ku the alternative Digitalk ku share enganzi the snap talk.
Fellow citizens, following the sequence of events, Uganda seems to be at political crossroads.
I'm not a servant of anybody.
Madam, I know the law.
As such, Alternative Digital brings you the Interface Show with retired Colonel Dr. Kiza Besuje.
Let's keep on the same page on Alternative Digitalk,
As he gives you the alternatives on the transition question, rule of law, human rights and freedom, youth inclusion in governance, economic stagnation, as he confirms.
I'll be always here Saturday from 10 a.m. in the morning. Be there.
Don't miss the live discussion on the Alternative Uganda, Digitalk TV Facebook pages, and the Alternative Uganda YouTube channel.
The Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.
Well, welcome back from that short break. It's an interesting discussion here with passionate people who really want to see their country move to the next step. Well, I want to thank all our viewers who, from wherever you're watching from, we thank you really for keeping it Digitalk. There is one question I want to pose to Mr. Gideon Tugume here. It has been brought directly to you. Tiff Abdallah, please ask Mr. Tugume that instead of starting a political movement stroke or party, why didn't he convince his colleagues to start a leadership academy, since in his view, in your view, there is need to groom and train leaders?
You know, you don't just train from outside. You need to train from inside, from within. You cannot start a leadership academy without starting a political party. What are you going to read? You are training people to read what? DP was training because it was a political party. Much as it had never got the chance to read the country, but many readers do appreciate that truly they went through DP, isn't it? And that's what we want. There must be a political party through which leadership has to be trained. So you are starting a leadership academy to read what now? You must have political parties. But the problem which we are finding in this country is that people are so agitated, people are so angry that they feel they want to cause change immediately. And it is very important for them. But the change you want to cause cannot last. It can't.
The problem
Yes, I'm telling you, it cannot. And that's not the change we want. We want a change that will last forever. Because the change we are seeing is only a political change where President Museveni comes with the gun, take over power, but there is no change in the service delivery. If we want change, we want a fundamental change that will change delivery of services to the people. We want to see people's schools being built. We want to see hospitals well equipped. We want to see lighting everywhere, even in the villages. We want to see the network of roads from one place to another, which cannot come as a result of simply just changing. Recently, we changed here in Uganda. I'm giving an example of Uganda. That NUP caused the great change of leadership by removing almost all the MPs and other leaders in Uganda. Has it changed the service delivery to the people? It has not. So that means that change is not meaningful. So what do we want now here, and how can we do it? We must plan ahead and see where to go. Right now, we don't have a common candidate whom we can send to Karamoja, whom we can send to Northern Uganda, whom we can send to Ankole, send to Uganda as a position candidate who can win elections in Uganda. We are all here. I've said that we have only 3 years to go, but we haven't even planned anything. We are just biting among ourselves, Somebody whom we thought could do something is always outside, is always talking to Europeans, is always talking to what? That one does not help Uganda. When Mr. Mukaaku was with his friends, because me, I was still a young man, when he was trying to organize under UID and the rest, he never got any assistance from outside. I remember. He never got any money from outside. He was trying to mobilize Ugandans. How can you participate in the democratic...
And not only DPs, we had UPCs, we had...
Yes, we had the UPC Youth Wing, we had the, the rest of the people. They were just trying to mobilize themselves and something had come up. How did it break? You cannot think of a neighbor to come and help your family when you yourself are not doing anything. And that's what we are saying. Can we start now planning to have a dump elections where we can have Mukaaku, have Gideon, have Kyagulanyi, have so? We are saying we are holding elections. Whom is Uganda expecting to participate and win President Museveni in the next election? That one is not done. We are just here. Ugandans, even if they can allow a cat to be put on the ballot, Ugandans can even give votes to a cat. I'm telling you. They are so agitated, they are so willing for change, and they have no leader to take them to that area. Because we are all here waiting for Museveni to give us a change. He will never. He cannot at all release his every inch of this to give it to the people. He's abusing us. Those are pigs. Those are what? A person who abuses you as a pig cannot give you anything. And he is even not willing to see the country developing. No, that is not his agenda. His agenda is to ensure that he creates a dynasty, which is a Chwezi dynasty, that was long ago removed. He's bringing it back. Where was the Chwezi dynasty passing? When you look at the map of Uganda initially, you will see the Eastern Congo was part of the Chwezi dynasty. You will see Western Kenya, which is Nyanza province, was part of the Chwezi dynasty. You will see Northern Tanzania was part of the Chwezi dynasty. So he's creating a massive area for his people to rule. Just to send someone who go to Eastern Congo and be leader there. Send someone Northern Tanzania to be leader there. But not create a Uganda, formidable Ugandans. And for us, we are saying Uganda first. How shall we think of Uganda first? We must be first in ourselves. And we are not united. When we are during the elections, after NUP had got into marriage with people power, the parties that we had, 26 political parties wanted to join Kyagulanyi and declare themselves and say, we have come, we are supporting you. I wondered. I met him at night, and in the morning he said he does not want to see any political party joining him. That he doesn't want political parties. That's why I started realizing a problem. That if you don't want to see political parties which have built at least some kind of grassroots, and you don't want to work with them, whom are you going to work with? So a country is losing a person who can completely think about Uganda's problems so that we can work together. We need a National Reconciliation Commission. What is it for? People are completely, dissatisfied with whichever is going on. They have lost hope. There are those who think that Uganda will never be a good country. And it is true. They have suffered a lot. When you go to northern Uganda, they will tell you that for us we have been under the war for many years. And even for when for all the years. Even when Museveni came, what the first thing he did was to take all the cows that were in northern Uganda. People are poor because they were caused poor by the government itself. Even the compensation itself has never taken place to compensate those people. When you go to Karamoja right now, what is happening? You cannot think of what is going to happen in Karamoja. People are dying. Hunger is killing people. The only land that they would grow food has been gazetted for a national park for animals. they even don't allow even cows, the Karamojong's cows, to go and graze in that area. And this is a systematic way of making sure that some areas remain completely poor. And that is it.
Mr. Tugume, yes. I really thank you for that submission. But basing on that same question,
yes,
which was raised directly to you, I want also to add this. We have 26 registered political parties.
Yes.
And you seem to suggest that there is need for all the political players to have one to have one line of thinking and do things together. You also said you've been with this gentleman
for
quite a long time.
Yes.
was it really necessary to have the FIL, the GIR, and all those other, political parties which are not even traceable? Why didn't you just team up and maybe join one strong force?
You see, you need to bring together different ideas to form into a formidable idea. Who meets them? Who calls them?
Because unlike in Kenya,
who calls them together?
Kenya, which has over 90 political parties,
yes,
even when they're going for an election, they have to sit and I am doing this and this is my, this is my role.
It is what I'm telling you about, that we have
the 26 parties. You cannot trust them.
We have 3 years to elections. We haven't thought of bringing together different players to think beyond ourselves. We don't. And do you know why? Some of the political parties that are registered are actually an affiliate to the ruling party.
The FIL and the...
Oh, no, I'm just telling you. It could be, or it could be some different political party. Some political parties are an affiliate of the ruling party. So they are not even trusted by the people in the opposition. So they think they are part of the other one. If you refuse, like if you can maybe say, we boycott this, for them they will go. There are 120 political parties which made an application to the Electoral Commission. To date, they have never been registered. And there is no law that has stopped them from being registered. And nobody is agitating for that. When you look at what is happening in elections, those who manage elections across the country and the districts, who elected them? Who appointed them? Who knows them anyway? When you look at the formation of the Electoral Commission, the commissioners and the rest, do you think they can favor you as an opposition? What are you doing? Those are the issues. When are we sitting together, Mr. Mukaaku, and we discuss issues of national importance as opposition to have a common ground? It is not there.
Thank you
Everybody is trying to form his own way. And when Uganda feels he cannot think for Uganda, he's outside the country. What are you going to do in Ukraine, sitting on the old tankers when Ugandans are perishing? When we have no plan for the 2026 elections, only 3 years to come, we have not done anything completely. We are just there. And when you would ask me why, Samuel Lubega, I always refer to him because I know his capacity. Recently, when he was forming the
PFT.
Yes, the red card, it was a very good idea. But the people who were fighting against red card are the people themselves in the political position. We know. But if we had come together and discussed within that and said, now, the unification of all political ideas are under red card, can we move to Karamoja as a team?
Is the FIL part of the PFT?
No, I have not been invited. That's what I'm telling you. But they know, how would you leave a man like myself? I'm aged, I'm educated, I'm a Ugandan, and I participate in the political end of this country. I've not been supporting this regime. I'm from Mutunga, Moruhama. Because I want the people to achieve and understand the idea and the importance of their country.
Thank you so much.
I'm not given an opportunity simply because somebody thinks, no, being a Munyankore, you are part of the regime because the Munyankore are... No, we can't think tribal. We must think beyond the tribe now.
Thank you, Mr.
Yes,
Mr.
and be
Tugume.
together as a team and take the country ahead to a lesser level.
Thank you, Mr. Tugume. The Vice President, the Vice Chairperson of the PFT is here, is going to respond why the FIL has not, officially received the invitation. My biggest concern is that, yes, we have 26 political parties, and many of these parties, when you invite the president, you will see the same face. When you invite the Secretary General, you will see the same face. When you invite maybe whatever portfolio, it is the same face. Now, do we need all these political parties as a country?
Well, when you get colonized by the thinking that the change we now need to make us free and regain our power as a people from captivity, from the captors, it must only be brought about by political parties, then you are going to get it wrong. The change we now need, as we had developed it to up to a certain level in people power, still remembers. Mm-hmm. It's not the change for only political, registered or non-registered political institutions and entities. The civil society must be involved The academia must be involved. The legal practitioners must be involved. Engineers must be involved. Teachers. Trade groups and trade unions. Young people who have not even defined which political party do they want to go to belong to. They have to be involved. That is the stage everyone must realize we are at. It's not only the politicians in parliament. It must be even those political actors, and I use the word actors, who are not in parliament, who are not in councils. So when you're a member of parliament and you earn a little bit of salary and you have some
privileges around you,
some other resources which would be useful to the revolution that you have, put them at the disposal of those who are not, of those who are willing to fight on. Because you might be very busy in your parliament.
but the struggle should continue.
The struggle must continue because you are only a product of the struggle. You are not the ultimate, you are not the ultimate thing for the struggle. And this is where we get it wrong. Even when, if you are people power or if you are NUP or DP, and then you have these MPs and you start to worship them and worship everything and worship everything they have, then you are going to get it wrong. And maybe as an answer to it, because I know we were with him in the people power.
Yeah.
In the people power, which I remember also well, I don't give him a formal invitation because he's the conscious revolutionary. He felt that was the right way to go. But sometimes, for some people, there must be, for people who want it, there must be, you can also be courteous. And I think that's what the Red Front has not done to the small, the 20, the how many parties? 26
all the 26
parties. Not all.
I mean, that's what
they are. These. They are these. They group themselves. The G6, the G whatever. You have heard of this. Like in world politics, when we call for the UN plenary, it must be everyone. But also there are those who call themselves G7, G8, G20, and the G whatever. If you feel, if a member of the G7 or G8 or G20 feels he should be invited or should get that, and you must make that courtesy. Don't be too rigid. And I apologize. We had, and my thinking actually was that we were still heavily involved with the NUP, which NUP were engaging anyway. We were engaging in NUP right from the start. This one, you know, how we wanted NUP really to lead this PFT. This red card front, because apparently now it is the opposition leader. And we thought if a political grouping organized with the resources leads its bona fide role to give leadership. And that's how we ended up. When we called the Kizza messages and the world, they said, okay, we had problems with you, Mukaaku, but for this, it is a national cause. We are coming. We are not giving any conditions. And everyone started to lead each other. I'm sure I talked to you, members of the Fourth Estate, and also the social movements.
Yeah.
So I will definitely do that. Now that I've known, I thought it was a... But again, even where I have not called you, please, you have always been spot on, steadfast, do the needful, because this country needs us. Now, going away from that, and this is what I want us to understand, how do we dismantle the politics of positions? How do we come to a stage where we know that some of these processes are now basic and strategic agendas for the regime, for the dictator, for the misruler, from the capital? That he wants this. The program that at some stage he takes you into elections, which he himself mans. The Electoral Commission is captured by him or them, And you want to claim that you will achieve anything. He knows that at the end of the day, a few people will be left to legitimize the system, so that he doesn't appear ugly internationally. And he knows that I will allow a few MPs that he wants. You see, when we tried those by-elections, we were now telling him that if we do our work, you're also not going to get those you want. You remember? He didn't like Kasiano, he didn't like Mwiru, he didn't like Chagulanyi, he didn't like, you know them, he didn't like Asuman at the time. Mm-hmm. Yeah? We wanted Asnas in Hoima. But because of the mistakes. He didn't like Muzanira. She's not a great woman, but he didn't like him. Aha. Because maybe of her tribe, because maybe of her ethnic background, or maybe because of her religion. Or maybe because of her political affiliation. Yeah. So, we can only engage with elections, knowing that the regime has tried to design that particular personal interest. Yes, and they want to take us that. We can only use it for purposes of mobilizing our society, mobilizing communities, mobilizing the levers of change. And who do we call the levers of change? Number one lever of change, the people. But people. Mm-hmm. Number two lever of change, international community. Number three, the security services. Who are our children anyway? They are our children. We can engage them ideologically, engage them different ways, and persuade them and tell them that, look, you are serving the captor. Now serve the people. This has never happened. Otherwise, the locators of this world would never become NRM, isn't it? So this is where we need to go. And tell the civil servants, because there are some civil servants, because they receive 3 million shillings, 2 million shillings as salary,
they're comfortable.
Now they think they are better. They are not comfortable. Can I tell you what? Today I was speaking to some of my colleagues in town who get 1 million shillings, and those in shops. And I asked them, how much money do you use to come to town? They said 5,000, and in the evening 7,000 on a border. And now we have to pick a border if we have to do business, or you have to be early. How much is that? And that's 12,000. Okay. And when you come here, what time do you come? Early in the morning, and we leave around 9 in the night. Oh, do you eat at the job? Yeah, we are forced to buy some food for ourselves. Is it an allowance? No, you have to buy it yourself. How much is that? 10,000. Oh, do you spend on anything else? Yes. So we calculated with airtime and the like. We calculated that 30,000
on a daily.
Just to sustain an individual to go to work and back. You are not talking about money he must leave for his family, for his wife, for the kameza, for the children. You are not talking about the rent, utilities, and all this, but you are just that. And you said 30,000 times 10, that is 300. And in a month, 900. How much salary do you get?
1 million.
1 million. You, how much salary do you get? 0.6 million. So they are in deficits. So this is what I said. Look, there are those who think that by getting 2 million, if you don't get 5 millions now to 4 millions, you can't survive. And you are definitely going to be a thief, absolute thief. And all the people you see, that those who brag around, they have jobs, they are thieves than even the petty thieves. But what I'm saying here is that you have to understand that supporting the captor because you get 3 millions, you are basically, that's an illusion. You are under capture. You yourself. The best we can call you, you are escorting the captors. But the captors are not for you. When you look at the tweets, I hope you are going to read the tweets of a man called Kaine Rugaba. Mm-hmm. The third in line of the Sabagavi. Third in line. You remember when he was being given the pips. It was not even Mbadi to do it. It was not even the Minister of Defense or the other generals. His uncle in a shirt that resembles the sovereign, that of the sovereign. But he has already, yesterday he tweeted, if you could read that tweet, to show you that their dynasty is bigger the Bachwezi dynasty, and he's not
When he
afraid.
talked about the
he's not afraid to say so. He's not afraid in the tweet itself. And this is the nth time he's saying it and emphasizing it. This is the Republican monarchy incarnate. You can't do anything. They are the sovereign, you are the subjects. Subjects have a different set of rules, and the sovereign has a different set of rules they play with. That's why, even in the army, when he does things that are treasonable, he's not going to be charged with treason. He will be promoted as a punishment.
Thank you.
As though promotion is a punishment. So at the end of the day, people understand.
Thank you so much.
On one side, we have the captors, who are less than 3%. On the other side, we have the captured. And it is that, on one side, as a strategy, for us, we are for transition, and him, and you, and the rest, and all our institutions which have been captured. For them, they are for succession.
Thank you so much.
And the one who wants succession does not want to maintain the status quo. I hear those with the Moses say, at least the son will be better. But the son is telling you, all this wealth we are taking is for us, not for you. How do you expect him to change course?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Mukaaku. I want to go to Mr. Tugume as the chairperson of the vulnerable
people.
The president or chairperson?
The chairperson.
Well, now, there is what we call monologues.
Better to use the word leader.
The leader. Sure. Okay, as the leader of the Abawe journey.
Vulnerable people.
In this country, we have monologues. Monologues is where you find someone. I always meet them. You find people like, you know, someone is like, is frustrated.
No.
Leave even that. Someone is moving alone and it's like,
yeah, they are talking.
Then he starts alone like,
yes.
Yeah,
it is true, very true.
And like, meaning he has made all the efforts to have something for his people, and things have failed to work out.
Yeah,
maybe let's wait for tomorrow. Now, my question here is, as people who really want to see that every Ugandan embraces the struggle you're into, to see that there is that desired change you people see, what strategies have you put in place to involve this ordinary Ugandan, especially that Ugandan who cannot even afford 2 meals in a day? You know, if you happen to go to, you know, those rural communities, these are the people who are so much for the regime. But when you ask how many children you have, like I have for how many who went to the highest level of education, primary 7, you know, what strategies have you put in place to engage these people and make them see what you people see?
You see, the strategy that you would need to apply to these people is actually to approach them, reaching near them. The regime does not allow you to reach people. If you tried as the chairman of the vulnerable people that I want to meet the vulnerable people in Karamoja, I will be killed before I cross the Nile. You have been seeing what is happening. They don't allow
that's exactly the other aspect. They want to capture the noise.
Yes, do you see that? Do you see that? We have a hopeless class that was created. Those whom this president found when they were about 12. If you are not a bloker, you are now around 48, by the way. If you are not a bloker, you are on the street talking about yourself. You studied, you went to university, you don't have a job. You are either on a border, you are either doing, you know, those rubbish things that you wouldn't even do in order to survive. If you never had someone who went to the bush and pushed and pulled you and gave you a job, then you are completely finished. That's the hopeless group we are talking about. And among those people, recently there was a study on Uganda. They said about 1 million people are actually running mad. Not just mad, but because of stress.
Actually, they said they are mad.
Yes, they are mad. Because now, these are the kind of people who don't have where to sleep. They just sleep wherever they find. They don't have enough to eat. They can eat once if God gives them chance. If you go in town, you will find that these people, when they try to sit at the city square, they come and beat them from
there. They are stressed and depressed beyond repair.
I'm telling you, because they are not married. If they got married, like myself, I married very late because I never had money. I am educated. I have master's degree. I've done law. But I couldn't even practice anywhere simply because the regime was saying that Gideon must always be in jail. I've been jailed about 25 times. You know, not for anything else, simply because for participating in activity that would need to see a change to my people who are vulnerable people. I was born in a family where nobody even paid fees for me because it was not there. Yes.
Just to demonstrate what you're saying, recently, you know, the cases we have, some of which to get bail, you must pay 30 million.
30
30 millions. And that case, they said, inciting violence. And recently, the man came who jailed us, who got us, and they asked him what words those people used. Specifically, said, tuzukuke, tuegate, twetas.
So
and they asked him, what is so intrinsic that is hidden within that incites violence in that, or that is criminal in that? But then a person who says, I'm going to hit Kenya, Nairobi, and then for us the Bachwes are this, and he's in the army.
Nobody talks about
Nobody
that.
talks about it.
So we have tried to reach out to the people. The few, even right now, as I speak, there are those who really are watching us. But it is unfortunate that even our people cannot even manage now to pay fees subscription for the TV so that they can watch. I have people whose TV were cut off, whose electricity were cut off. The landlord is chasing them. They go very early in the morning by 3 and come back by 2. So they sleep 1 hour. The rest of the hours, they are either hiding in the bars or hiding somewhere. And when they move at night, they get them, put them in the jail. So people are suffering. My people are suffering. And there is no way you can meet them and be able to talk to them. There is a lot of suffering among the people, and they are willing actually to cause, if it means causing change by use of any force, they are willing. But they don't have a leader to do that. And you cannot lead them because you will be killed very fast. But what should we do? That's what we are saying. Now, we need to plan ahead together as a team and find a solution of what we can do. Me, what I know, that Ugandans are so ripe, they are like now yellow bananas, ready to eat. If anybody comes and say, here, get here and we start, they can start off. They are very willing, but they have no way they can start that. And we don't want that anyway. We don't want to cause any problem in this country. We don't want to remove this regime using force. We want peaceful means. But how are we going to use peaceful means to the people who don't want peace? The people we are trying to talk to, the people we are discussing about that want peace, for them they don't want peace. For them they are saying, Mukaaku must die, Gideon must die, should never have food, should never even provide anything to his family, so he should be vulnerable completely and also. And for us, we are saying we are Ugandans, where we have reached now. At the age of now, which I have now, I'm going into 50s years, and I am educated. I'm looking at how to serve my country, and somebody is saying you will never serve. And we are saying we must serve because this is our country. We have the ideas that we must put on the table for this country to go to a second level. I was telling people that if at all we had somewhere we can plan for the youth, we gave an example of Bugerere, where they grow pineapples. If we had around 2,000 youth and we had land that the government had planned and they grow pineapples, we eat pineapples, we sell them around these markets. The rest we export them. What remains is we put a small machine in Bugerere which can freeze out. I'm giving an example. We go to another area in Karamoja. People rear goats and cows. We give them that chance. We shall have created 1.2 million jobs every month, and which they don't want. We have been looking at chasing away people from the streets, those who have been selling some, chips and the rest, like in Nakulabie, in Kawempe, in what. And these people have been working at night. They have completely been chased. Why don't you bring these people, foreigner people, to work in the night, so that during the day, for you do your clean work, and then the night is for the poor people. But every day they are arresting people, taking them to Ruzira, to Kitaria. Kitaria is full, Ruzira is full. They can't put them anywhere because we don't have judges who are pro-people. The judges we have are the cadres of NRM. Whichever they tell them, we are protecting the state. There is nobody protecting the people. They are just protecting the state. And that is what we are fighting.
Thank you.
By the way, I'm just talking as Gideon Tugume. We are still talking in a simple way and in a peaceful way. Time is going to come when we shall change our mind from peaceful now to something else. Yeah, it is our constitution right anyway to use any means to ensure that this country is better for us. We cannot die poor and also our children die poor and our grandchildren.
You were born poor.
No, we shall not. We are working, we studied in order to change the history, to change the setting of our people. So if you are saying that I was born poor, I've grown poor, educated poor, my child should die poor, and even my grandchild die poor, never. Because they want to make our children become slaves of theirs, of their children. When you look at the gap they are putting up, in terms of resources, you have a person whose account is full of money, 100 billion, he has got 7,000 cows, he has got 7 square miles of land. This is a man who has got 10 arcades in town. How can such a child compete with my child whom I'm going to live?
Let me give you information on that same point.
Yes.
Recently, the United States, they have come up with a policy they have realized that many African leaders, they have taken stock of their dollars, money in houses and huge sums of dollars. So they have, I think, from dollars below 2011, something like that, they will never be accepted in the market. If you have those huge sums, large sums of money, dollars,
in Kenya they did so as well.
Which are below, I think, 2011, they will never be.
In Kenya they did so. And here they are just spraying money in the buildings. Every day they bring some people to come and spray against the cockroaches. And they have the money in the houses.
Thank you so much, Bwana Gideon.
Recently
in Kenya, I saw the president, Ruto, saying that in Kenyans, let's add value to our milk, we export it, and then we import milk from Kenya for our own consumption. It sounded like an insult.
It's an insult.
Yeah, it's like, as Kenyans, let's add value to our milk, let's sell all our milk to other countries, and then we go to Uganda, we import their milk for our own consumption. Well, Mr. Mukaaku, there is, I don't know whether it's the dynamics within the politics. You realize that each and every time we get into an election, the quality of leaders the population presents, you find them slightly below the standards compared to those who were there before. And this brings much worry that maybe as we head, we shall have, for lack of a better word, you see, we have. I'm trying to figure out.
Actually, I had told you that if a cat would be around on the ballot, people might even vote.
Yes, but the point I'm trying to make here is that each and every time we got into an election, when you look at the quality of leaders we have, it's really wanting. And maybe if you project what would happen in the future, it will be extremely worse. What brings about this?
It's the captor. The captivity, the strategic approach, and the tactical approach to handling the captives. You see, you have not worked as a mangereza, as a prison warder. They are always studying how to make their work easy vis-a-vis. There would be vile inmates, some of whom know that by being there they are going to die. And they are going to the gallows, so their lives are ending. They must find ways how to be good to them while doing the worst things that these inmates may want or may not expect. So I told you one of the levers that they have. The pile of levers they use to ensure that they keep us in check. And I will leave that one because I talked about politically impoverishing the population and communities. I talked about what we call patronization. I talked about using the carrot and stick and repression, basically. Those are the levers. It's in the toolbox. Now, when it also comes to what type of grease, what type of oil, yeah, one of them, make them disenchanted beyond repair. Make the population disenchanted beyond repair. It's a sinister ploy, and it is systematic.
And it has worked.
And it is working. When the people resign, people can resign. You can resign your life. You know, if you become hopeless.
You give up.
Hopeless is the worst weapon. Some of us have been put in safe houses, whatever. If you come out alive, never. The idea is to make you completely lose hope. And you must be very careful not to lose hope. Don't come out too hungry, because you can lose your head. When you are fighting a war and you are commanding it, you don't lose your head. Because the moment you lose your head, you are now going to fall prey of the oppressor, of the dictator, of whatever you want to call him. You remember recently when we went for the Jacana burial. Yeah? There are some colleagues of mine, and I'm not afraid to say this, and in the war, the battles that I've commanded, I don't do that. Even when these people come with all the vile, you must first of all understand,
contain yourself,
and contain yourself, and contain your troops.
Sure.
So we lost command of the troops at Jacana's place. Much as the Mbajamberes were not good, whatever, we must not lose our heads. Because they will get those clips, these people, I'm telling you here, they'll get the clips and do what they did during Semogere. They could put on t-shirts and come and rob and say, Semogere's t-shirts.
Yes.
When they saw it was not working, then they had to juxtapose pictures of Obote, Cecily Ogwal, and Semogere that you see Semogere is bringing on the election day. And after rigging elections with the ballot stuffing and the like, they only used it. It was scientific. You know, the people are afraid. They didn't want Obote to come back because they must have an excuse. For them, they are in power. They will use any excuse. The other day, they used Oinake Wekole Day. You remember that? They can use these simple things. They depicted Kizza Besigye on one side as like a monster on this side. And then they said people didn't vote Besigye because they thought it was too... That time when we called Besigye Senyondo, Masombira, you remember? So they will always use certain... You must be experienced to know how they want now, how they are shaping up the next battle of total capture. So in this case, we must not lose our heads. We must know that they want us to get disgusted and leave it to them. So that even if they are out of 10, only 3 people who vote, and they win by 2 votes, which would naturally be one of theirs, the other one maybe a sympathizer, but the 8 who would have voted against don't vote, they say we have won the elections. You get the idea? It is the same thing as making you not participate in any. And this is where we need to tread carefully.
Let me put you right on that one. We went for election observation in Gogonyo. They said that NUP candidate had withdrawn from the race. And what happened, because they want to justify that elections, they actually maintained him there. Do you know?
On the
ballot.
You know
that? Yes, on the ballot. The man had completely withdrawn, but because they wanted to justify, they had bought him off. Actually, they bought that man off, but they maintained him on the ballot. And they had to appoint themselves. The people were telling us that for us, we were appointed by the office of the RDC to come and be the agents of the man who had gone off. They were not even...
So you can see the tactics.
They were not even...
That at the end of the day, they could even elect that person, but he's no longer theirs. This happens. the people who are all selected by Norbert Mao, let me talk about my wrong, Norbert Mao, were regime's agents. Almost 99%. It also happens with our other parties. We have to be very careful. While we talk about candidate X who could be a good revolutionary material, they're going to bring somebody in the name of that particular party, with all the letters of that particular party, but it's not yours.
Now, actually,
so at the end of the day, now you get demoralized. When you take them to parliament or to council, say, like now in Lubega, you remember, how many councillors did we have? On one party ticket, one of the parties which was dominant, which is new. How, out of 91 people, the NRM man has 11 people. How did he become speaker?
How did he
become speaker? So these are some of the things. Actually, when you talk about them before, and you remember when I was doing it in Lubega, especially Lubega South, I had also done it in Lubega North, though I was not standing there, leaving my constituents, leaving the campaign to make sure that we get the right people. They quickly moved and they talked to some of the leaders now of the new NUP, the new party. Oh, he's bringing NRM people. The ones they left, one of the young people that they wanted to hit me with a band, removed my cap, is a son to Madame Justine Nachited, a renowned DP. The son is a DP. And they had joined NUP, those ones. And others were DP People Power. They are the ones they baptized NRM, and they left the NRM people to go through on the ticket of NUP.
Yes,
what has happened in that council? Yeah. It's the same with the parliament. Now when the people see this parliament is not working like, is not to the job like the 7th or 8th, they get disgusted. I will not vote again. These people will not. They sell us. But they are not your people.
Remind the viewers that actually when the elections came for the Speaker of Parliament, you saw how they elected. That's what we have been saying, that are those who holding NUP, actually who went as a NUP candidates, were they actually NUP candidates? Some were not. Now recently, let me tell you this, you might not be knowing. Recently there was a plan where the president paid off someone as if he's buying land, and in actual sense did not buy land, but paid some money under the diggers that they bought land of in Gomba, that he bought Chaguranyi's land, and so he paid 28 billion to Honorable Chaguranyi because he bought land. That land does not even cost 1 billion shillings, even if we bought it, by the way. But you know, this plan, and we are scared. We don't know whether they did not talk and negotiated to be paid that money.
The land belongs to the Chaguranyi?
Yes, and he sold it, 28 billion. Yes, it was put on Chaguranyi's account, 28 billion. But that small land.
Sure.
Why? Yes. How did Chaguranyi discuss the matter with the president to sell him the land, which his father never sold to him? And secondly,
you mean Sentam's land?
I'm telling you, in Gomba was sold.
I will have to investigate that.
I'm here. I'm a lawyer. Somebody can even.
Are you sure?
I'm telling you the truth. Yes. It is even not 2 weeks.
We've had that deal.
That deal went through and the money is on Chaguranyi's account.
No, which I need evidence.
No, I'm telling you the whole truth.
Well, thank you.
But anyway, if it is true, this could be some.
Yes.
That demonstrates if it is true.
The viewers can connect them.
There are some things that are happening behind the curtains. No, talking to Chaguranyi, president talks to him for some issues, and then passes via money as if he's selling land, and at the end of the day is paid. You know, that kind of thing. And those things are happening, and we have been asking ourselves.
Let me hope you're not blackmailing Chaguranyi.
But why should I blackmail him? This is a very clear issue. Gomba is here. I have friends, I have even
you brothers. Can defend that?
Let me tell you, I have even my cousins who are in Gomba. That land, President Museveni paid money to Chaguranyi personally
from
his account.
When?
2 weeks back.
Well,
you ask.
I'll have to call Chaguranyi immediately.
You call him and he will tell you how he sold that land, where he negotiated with President Museveni, and actually not even selling to anybody else, to sell it to President Museveni.
Well, we're left with 5 minutes. We're left with 5 minutes.
Yes, those are the issues we are concerned about.
And I want to open the lines. I want to see if we could get, other than the comments, I want to see, I need for our viewers to call. We need to hear from them. Our studio lines are 0789 017 145. 0789 017 145 and then 0759 132 310. Well, Kamulali Hassan says, I think this goes to Mr. Mukaaku. You're trying to build Besigye to come back, but they are watching and they know Kyagulanyi is the way to go if you really want change. That is for you, Mr. Mukaaku.
You want me to respond immediately?
Please do.
I think one of the other problems, I talked about the grease and the oil, is the problem, and that is with us to create as a gift to the capital. If you start playing politics of cultism, building cults, if you start playing politics of quick fixes, and let's have Mhozi, at least Mhozi is not the other one.
Without reasoning.
Without reasoning. If you start playing parochial politics, and this is where I said we must now discern. Once you understand the problem and you do the strategic planning, know who can play what role. You will hear so many people calling themselves generals. Not in the war, not everyone must be a general. In a war, which is reasonable, not everyone must be a general. Not everyone must be a lieutenant. There are those people who will play different roles. Some will be in intelligence, others will be in artillery, others will be in this. But again, even when in artillery, not everyone is a general. But you see, when we now start to say, tubalengera, for me, actually, my problem is not the tribes we wear. My problem is not the ideological lineages we have, because I also have one. The tribes we wear, I also have a tribe, isn't it? My problem is not the degrees that we have, because I also have one, or I may not have one. My problem is not the cultural variegations that exist. As of now, all of us Ugandans need to wake up from the slumber, define the problem, yeah, understand which strategy, agree, build consensus on which strategy, which tactics, secondly, and then move forward knowing. I don't care whether somebody is called Kiza Besigye, whether another one is called Kyagulanyi or Mukaaku, whatever. The most important thing is to have an army that can take on the regime.
Sam, where did Besigye go, whom they are talking about that is coming back? And what is the problem with him if he's to come?
Well,
for us, we want Uganda.
So my friend Kamulali Hassan,
yes.
Just mind, and we need to mind these things, because I don't think we the Kamulalis alone can liberate this country single-handedly. And when we do so, it will be war, because all the others will fight us.
Dr. Besigye has
What we need is to build a consensus, build a progressive coalition, and which progressive coalition? It may be led by Kamulali, it may be led by Mukaaku, it may be, but on merit, because we feel that when Kamulali is at the top, at the apex of it, will deliver the job.
Well, I want to bring this as the very last question to you, Mr. Mukaaku. I've been following you, and you've been into Nkobazambogo, part of the founders of the UID, and so many things. And my question is, you've done a lot anyway. Have you done self-evaluation to see that maybe something is not being done right? Just like the other person who told you that, Mr. Lubega, you need to unlearn and relearn a few things. Have you done that self-evaluation that maybe there is something I may not be doing right?
Yes, many times. And also to give an opportunity for other ideas to blossom and thrive. Don't you know I've stood for presidency? You think that president in me has died away? I was the same person who told Kyagulanyi, tell the people you're going to stand for the presidency. If you want, you can investigate anywhere. It was not Kyagulanyi's idea. If you want, you're a journalist, you know. Everyone knows, and I got stick for telling Kyagulanyi that, even from my colleagues.
Yeah,
Kasanga.
yeah, definitely. Even giving it.
I got stick.
This is
Chagulanyi did it for me. He said,
Sam is the
Babi,
first person to apologize.
before, and I
to
told
give
him,
the
tell the people in an ambiguous way. Because I believed we had agreed on a strategy with Chagulanyi, which strategy was later on abandoned. But I made self-evaluation on myself. I said, okay, I may be good, I may be this, but for the sake of the revolution, for the sake of liberating this country, somebody else can do it for all of us.
Thank you.
The second one, I have not taken stock of this. Even when my ideas have not been understood at the time, I take stock and give way to other people to do. Only, like I told you, when they went to Hoima, I said, okay, you want me to unlearn?
Let me do that.
I do that. The good thing, we are doing it at least 4 months before we go into the election fever, general election fever. We shall learn now who is wrong, who is right.
Give me the way forward to all this, so that we...
Self-evaluation is a continuous thing, but the way to do it is to learn from our mistakes, is to learn from experience, but also not get diverted from the main course of our strategic approach and the tactical approach, and what activities we need to discern, what battles we need to fight in order to win this. President Museveni, to his credit, the Musevenis of that time, to their credit, did it. Much as there was a team that hijacked and lied, and pile of lies, but them as together, including Professor Lule, they realized from PRA to NRM, because we had UFF for Professor Lule, and they tried to call in other people, be patient, be consistent, and the strategy was right. And the leader now let them down, as we normally, as I have also been many times. The leader let them down. But the leader initially was they still chose a leader who had certain qualities for the job.
Yusuf Lule.
No, not just Yusuf Lule, but even Museveni.
Because Museveni was the vice.
They were young men. They were young men at the time, even before they joined with Yusuf Lule. Young men. Some of them were UPM, others were not. Said, oh, okay, all of us are good. Kategai, you are good. Mbabazi, you are good. They are all smart guys, as you could see. You can see them. But they said, much as Museveni had not achieved anything, much as Museveni was not with a first-class degree, much as Museveni was a Mularo with the background that was whatever, there are those who were sons of Yanyima, sons of whatever, said, let's choose this man. Today, that's why they have managed to be with us 40 years, because while the Kategayas went to what is this? Angenwa, the diploma, the one you see, they have classes there. Yeah? Much as the Otafires could go and drink their wine, much as the Mbabazis could do their things, Museveni was 24 hours on the job. I felt even when I was coming to stand, with experience of with all my friends, I thought at a time, and they thought at a time, some of them, that probably I was for the job. Because we have been at it since our young days.
Mr. Mukaaku, we're out
but
of time.
That does not remove the fact that if my friend from Ntungam, we feel he's now fit for that particular task at the moment, at this material time,
he can carry it on.
He carries it on, we support him. So for me, I'm not for positions. For positions of a certain clan or a certain tribe or a certain this. I would be very happy if a Muganda took the leadership.
Thank you.
I would be very happy if a Catholic took. I'll be very happy if a DP. But if a DP cannot perform to my expectations, I will pick an FDC. If an FDC cannot perform to my expectations, if an FDC behaves like a Mao, I will pick Chagulanyi. So for me,
thank you, Mr.
it's about achieving the mission.
Tugume, I want your way forward. We all know we have a problem as a country. Much as, well, it's a fact. This regime has done a few things.
Yeah,
that we must accept.
Some things have been done. Yeah.
And then there are those flaws. Yes. Just like for any other, even in our homes, some other things are done right. Others, we do not do them as expected. Now, what is the way forward?
You say,
so just give me just a reminder. You see, this man, the one I want out of, not because I hate him, I hate his ways.
Nobert Mao.
No, Museveni.
Okay.
The same with Nobert Mao.
Okay.
I don't hate people. I just their ways of managing us. You see, he gave thought of this, and he asked for leave several times. He even changed from DP to UPC to this.
Yeah.
But ultimately, he saw that the people that he was leaving the task to were not up to the job.
Thank you.
So now,
you have a minute. You have a minute.
No,
I'm sorry for.
I have to start from there. That Prem Seven, he has done something because he took time to learn. All the time he has been a deputy. He was a deputy during the period of Mwanga when he was the chairman.
The vice president,
yes, was the vice
and
president.
minister of
you see, he
Minister
was
of Defense.
yes. So yes, even when they were in the bush, he was the deputy to Yusuf Furure.
Yes.
Yusuf Furure. So the man has been trying to learn. You need to learn in order to put something into place.
Although the difference, you should not learn in a selfish way. For the mature
So
this is not the mature dinner.
As a country, we need to learn a lot. We have a problem here that people want to start from top. And they don't even want to see changes. Museveni was once a DP. He was once a UPC.
He was in all parties. FRONASA, UPM, UNLA.
Yeah, UNLA. So when Gideon, NRMO. So when Gideon comes, even the names, today is Tibo Haburwa, the other day is Museveni, the other day is the what? Sabagabe, and Sabarwanya, and things are moving on. So we need to know that being a politician is not like a wedding where you say, you go to someone and say, put a ring and say, Kusibi down, I've just tied you there. No, in the politics you have to change in order to learn a lot. So we need to learn from different people.
As the political players.
Yes, as the political players. And the people must accept that if we are to take this country to another level, we have to learn. So in one word or the other, I know that what can take Uganda now to a good level or to another level is by being together as a team, and secondly, to accept that mistakes have been done but can be corrected, and it has to be corrected by ourselves.
Thank you so much.
And with the philosophy,
thank you.
Not the end justifies the means.
Yes.
It must be the means
that ends.
Justify the end. That's where I have a difference.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. My panelists, I thank you for being part of tonight's discussion. And then, of course, for the viewers, we really thank you. I am sorry I've been notified by the producer that our phone has issues. That's why we've not been able to receive phone calls. But I am very sure the technical team is trying to work on that. Well, the team I've worked with, Nabuke Ratenjo, thank you so much. Kato, my producer, and everyone who has been who has contributed to putting up this together. I thank all of you. Until next Monday, my name is Abdalatif, and I wish you a good night.
Alternative Digitalk. Real issues, real talk.